Hey everyone, Night Haro here, and I am super excited about this video. I love computers, I love tech, and I love making things. So if you clicked on this video, hopefully you feel the same way. So what I'm going to go through today is a little bit of kind of show you my setup, and then I'm going to show you some of the process it took to get me here, and then give a brief review on maybe a few of the items that I really particularly liked. If you guys have questions about anything or any advice for myself or others, please drop in the comments below. And just to be clear, if I'm effusive about any particular product, none of these things are sponsored or anything. It just means that I really liked it that much. All right, so let's go ahead and start with a use case here. So I was having problems with dropping frames on a single PC setup while trying to record and potentially stream. So I decided that, I needed to do something different. After doing a little bit of research, I decided to go with a dual PC setup. It kind of works for several other uses. There might be a situation where I want my wife to be able to play at the same desk kind of beside me, and a few other things as well. So that's why I decided to go with this. And the old desk I had would just not hold two computers, certainly not hold them out of the way. So I wanted something that would kind of look cool because this is in my living room. And, all the RGB goodness I think is kind of fun. So we kind of use it as wall art. So I wanted it to be able to be displayed, but I wanted the PCs to actually be out of the way. And so this is kind of the design that I went with. I played through several other designs, and I thought this was cool because I think you could really only do this with steel. I don't think the wood with like a water-cooled PC, it's so heavy. I don't think you could safely do this with wood, at least not, and trust that it's not going to fall or anything like that. And so anyways, I just thought this was a fun design that you could kind of only do with steel, and that's why I went with this. Now that you've kind of seen the design here, and I'll show you kind of some of the process it took to get me here. So I've got a really official setup here. I used about like 3 or 4 power tools to make this happen. I've got a miter saw. I've got a kind of cheap belt sander, and then a handful of other tools like a drill and stuff like that. And that's pretty much it. I'm working on the floor of my garage, as you can see, and obviously a welder also, but that's pretty much it. For the woodworking here, I just got some spalted maple, which has this really fun grain line. So what it is like beetles have kind of dug into the tree, and when they have a particular kind of fungus on them, it leaves a really cool mark behind. And so I found this at the local hardwood store, and then I'm just using some walnut with that. Some of the walnut is just cut-offs and leavings. So I kind of just used what I could find and what I could get for fairly cheap, and I thought it turned out really well. And then in the top of the desk here, you can see that I put in a drawer. Basically, I just put everything kind of Tetrised it together before I glued it up to make sure it more or less lined up. And then I just didn't glue in the piece that I was going to use as a kind of a top access drawer. And then I just made a box below it, glued it to the bottom of the table, and did a little cutout there for a power strip, and kind of it's all set up then. That's pretty much it, pretty much all there was to it. And that's just really nice. So I can charge my phone. I can run a charger through the little finger hole to open it if I want to. And anyways, it turned out pretty great. Honestly, I was a little bit unsure of it at first. You can see on all the wood here too, because nothing I have is straight, nothing cut straight. I don't know if it ever did, but it certainly doesn't anymore. And, it actually, I've done this with a coffee table that I had, and it actually turns out well, even though they're not straight cuts. Just a little wood glue and then sawdust from having sanded everything down to fill in the gaps. And I mean, you can obviously see them, but it really doesn't detract too much from the look, at least not in my opinion, kind of going with the industrialized steel look and everything. But anyways, that's kind of it for the desk itself. Now for the computers. So I won't go through all of the computer build here. I don't think. I will leave all the details down below if you're curious. However, I just want to say a couple of things about this. So I went with EK products for water cooling, and I have to say that I am not disappointed. EK, their tolerances are great. I believe it's a German company, German engineering. They're keeping the stereotype alive. Everything, the tolerances were just great. All the products worked really well. Some of the products like Corsair and stuff like that, they've had some issues with them. And Corsair makes really pretty products, but sometimes I think they emphasize how pretty they're making things look and the marketing of things over the actual function sometimes. So it's a little bit of design over function. But these EK stuff looks really good. I really like the whole water block on the side here. It's designed for the O11 dynamic, and it's a water block / distribution plate, so it has the pump and everything in it, and it just looks really cool. I did go with Corsair fans and RAM because they look look really good, and I don't think I'll have a problem with the RAM, although some of their water cooling products are a little bit on the cheap side, and I don't necessarily, I don't think I would recommend them for you. Incidentally, Corsair and Elgato also owns Elgato. It's the same company, and I've tried some of their Elgato stuff as well. I think a lot of it's overpriced, especially if you're like trying to do like a streaming setup or whatever, and you can kind of get a better value if you go with a different brand. But here nor there. As far as like choosing to water cool, I just want to say that if you're just kind of a casual person, you just want a computer that works or whatever, water cooling, like what I'm doing here, is almost certainly not going to be worth it for you. You really want to be an enthusiast to do the hard tubing. If you went with something like soft, flexible tubing, I think that could work pretty well. And the benefit of that, you do spend a little bit more money up front, but if you have it to spend, it's kind of nice because things like your radiators and stuff like that and your fittings, you can reuse those pretty much infinitely. And so it's kind of nice because if you go with like an integrated system, eventually like the water will have leaked through, the coolant will have leaked through, it just evaporated through rather. And eventually there's no way to like refill it, or at least no like manufacturer recommended way to refill it. And so eventually you just have to like throw that stuff away. And so when doing it this way, yeah, you might have to throw away some of the tubing, but at least some of it you can kind of prevent a little bit of e-waste at least. And I don't know, maybe that's not a huge difference, but it is some kind of difference, and it feels good not to have to like send things to the landfill. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I started making furniture in our house. This table, we got some bar stools, and this desk is because it's steel, and steel is recyclable. So, even though I've welded it or whatever, first off, if I decide I want to change up the setup, I could easily cut off these two towers and just have a plain flat desk. I could weld something else up to make it however I wanted it. Or, even if you just chop it all up, you still send it to be recycled and melt it down, and it can still be, recycled. So that's kind of nice. I know that sometimes you just got to buy something cheap because it works, because you don't have money for anything else, but having the money to do this was really nice. And obviously I have the skill set. I've, feel comfortable working with a lot of these tools, or have learned to be comfortable with them. I hadn't welded much before I started making some of this kind of household furniture and stuff like that, but the process wasn't too bad. But anyways, that's pretty much it. That's my setup. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I will make one note here. PPE, personal protective equipment. You see me all geared up here. I highly recommend it. If you're going to do anything like this, first off, don't watch my videos and use it as advice. Go, read or watch some professionals. But you definitely want to make sure that you've got all the protective equipment that you're going to need if you're working with power tools. And then, make sure safety first. I'm standing on top of this desk when I was welding. I don't recommend that. Please don't do it. But anyways, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you guys liked it, and we'll catch you in the next one. Hey guys, I'm just gonna throw in a couple of gratuitous rabbit photos here at the end, because why not? Also wanted to say, if you guys haven't heard of what's going on with gamers, Nexus, they've been having issues with Newegg, I definitely recommend going and checking it out, and I'll leave a link below. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the rabbits.